Okay, so needle bearing, and it's not like the third shaft where there was actually, it looked like there was like a groove cut out on the outside edge, but this one doesn't look like it has it. So there probably isn't a top and bottom side, but I'm just gonna keep it exactly how it is. I'm trying to match it up with the new part. So this was up. And next is the gear. It looks like the inside is really smooth. So you can see there's a wear mark right in the middle. But actually I think that middle part is what was new, and the wear marks are on the outside. Here and here. And the middle part wasn't worn out. So it was riding on these new bearings. Here's what it looks like on the side. I don't know what these are. They're not even... See, that hole goes all the way through. Okay. Maybe it's just oil. It looked like some of these didn't go all the way through, but I think it's just oil. Yeah, it's just oil. So there's the bottom. And needle bearing. So probably there isn't a top and a bottom, but I'll just keep it exactly how I found it. And so I'll put it back just how I found it. Okay, looks like here. It's another needle bearing. This one's got really tight clearance. And I don't see a channel on the outer edge either. So this was on top and this was below it. Okay, this looks like a washer. And I can't seem to get it off for some reason. I'm not sure if it's connected to something. Okay, I guess it's not. I think the oil was just making it stuck. So there's actually, you can see that there's wear marks on this one. I'll replace this if I can. it's probably not that bad. It might just be discoloration. And so it was on top of this. Okay, so this is gonna be a two gears, maybe first and second. I don't know. And it's pretty heavy actually. It feels like it weighs 20 pounds. Here's what the bottom looks like. And that's what the top looks like. And I'll take this apart later. Yeah, that's pretty heavy. Okay, I think this actually might be 2 gears. This actually might be an actual double gear. Okay, and on here you can see that there's 3 O-rings and they're flat. They should have made these O-rings bigger, I think. This one's kind of, I don't know if you can see, but this one's loose. They all seem kind of loose. Except for this one. This one's good. So these two are like, they seem like they're designed bigger than they should have been. Okay, so if I hold this gear and spin this, it still spins everything else. But it doesn't spin this way. Cuz I can't turn it that way. So it's only one way. And if I spin this one, I can't spin this way. And nothing happens when I spin this. So maybe that's how the transmission coasts. See, nothing's actually spinning. Let me see if I can take this whole shaft out. Oh, there's 3 more O-rings at the bottom. These actually look like they're square O-rings. That one's loose. This one's maybe, yeah, it's kind of loose. But no, these, and this one's not even really an O-ring, because you can see that there's 2 parts that go together. Yeah, these aren't actually. These might not really be O-rings, or they're special kind of O-rings, because they split into like a square zigzag thing here. And so that's the hole that it came out of. Okay, now we can take this shaft off, I think. That's what the bottom looks like. This is actually fairly heavy for some reason. Okay, next we're gonna take off the differential. And if what you don't see is there's actually a race that this spins on, and that race is actually stuck to the middle housing of the automatic transmission case. So I think this one just comes straight off. Huh. And it's weird, this thing tilts. But it can't tilt too much because it hits the transmission. And this is ridiculously heavy. So this bearing right here is the same thing. It's a tapered needle bearing basically. And so I'll show you this later, but it goes right into that race just like the other race for this other bearing. Okay, so here's the race that I was talking about. I'm worried about how this is gonna come off. Maybe I have to apply heat and then try to pry it out. And then on the other side is one of the axial seals, I'm pretty sure. That's what it feels like. So there'd be an axial seal there, and then on this other side would be another axial seal where the other side of the differential bearing is. And here's the hole for that. I think it was the third shaft that we took out. And these are pretty big bearings. And I'll just make note of where all these tubes came from. So this one's missing. It might be on the other middle section of the case. So these are not the same height. They look like they're the same diameter, but they're not the same. Actually, they might be the same height. It's just they might be the same exact height, but this is higher. So maybe that's the difference. And then there's a tube here. Could be probably the same diameter as these two. And here, I had to actually pull this one of these off the middle section of the case, so hopefully I put it in the right place, but to me it looks like these are the same height, and they're they're pretty long. They might be the same as this one. But there's two here and two shorter ones. So two identical ones and then two identical ones here. Okay, next thing that I'm gonna try to do is take out the filter. So you can see that this bolt is blocked right there. So that one and this bolt. So two 10mm bolts hold the filter in. And since this, it's just going to be easier to remove this. So two 10s on this, and we can take off this piece right here. Alright, first, when I said third shaft before, there's no such thing as third shaft. It's main shaft, counter shaft, and secondary shaft. There's three shafts, but for some reason they don't call it a third shaft. And then on transmissions with higher gears, there actually is a fourth shaft, but then they call that probably a third shaft. So anyways, next we're gonna remove this. So two 10mm bolts. Okay, so this one's loose, and okay, and that's loose. Looks like you can't really mess this up. And I actually don't remember what this connected to. So just remember that it went in like that. And then next we're gonna take these two that connect the main filter, and we gotta really be careful. I'll put some grocery bags here because there's a bunch of fluid in here that's probably gonna come out. Okay, so this, I'm pretty sure all these bolts are 10mm. Let's try this one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put the camera down because it's really hard to do this with one hand. Okay, so I broke those loose. I'm gonna put some grocery bags here because I'm pretty sure there's fluid in here. Alright, I'm gonna try to take this out. Huh, nothing. I've had this thing sitting here for a few days, so maybe that's why. Well, that was easy. So it was, pretty sure it was this hole and this hole. Yep, it's that hole right there. This must be where the oil goes into. So, yeah, there's an O-ring on here. And the test to see if this thing still works is pour clean transmission fluid in here and then just watch it come out there. So I might do that later. But let's see. Yeah, it's a Filtech filter. And this should be OEM Honda. Alright, I'm just going to take note of this so I'll know how to put this back together. But basically I think we just take this spring off. And I believe this is the manual valve. So I'm going to guess this is how the transmission knows when to shift. So take the spring off, this should slide off. It looks like this valve, it loops and the open end is that way. And it goes into this valve body. So this should be the main valve body, because the main one is the biggest one and it should be on the bottom. So I'm gonna guess that, can't remember which one's the servo, which one's the regulator. It's gotta be this one. So one of them's the accumulator valve body, which is probably this one, and this one's gotta be the servo. Alright, so here's what it looks like for reference. So 2 bolts here, 2 bolts here, oil filter, bolt, 2 bolts, 2 pipes, 2 pipes. Pipe probably went in here. It's probably on the other case. 2 bolts here. Bolt, which probably doesn't come off, or doesn't need to. I don't remember what this is, but it looks like the flat part is pointing towards this bolt for the oil filter. Bolt. There's a bolt there. This one's got to be on the other case. These are 12mm heads, and there should be a third one somewhere, probably under here somewhere. There's 2 check balls in here. There's nothing in here. It's completely empty. I'll be replacing this one. Hopefully it's easy. This bearing too. Should be another bearing in here maybe. I'll replace this after I knock out the axle seal. I'll clean this up with a razor blade later. And I'll just dip the razor blade in oil and put oil here to lubricate it so I don't gouge into there, or gouge into this aluminum. Okay, this spring right here, large part goes there, and it looks like the longer part is on this side. Looks like here's the bottom of the spring. So, and this basically looks like a swing arm. So it just sprung out of the way. And this is just basically it holds it in place so it can pivot. And so that's this. Pretty sure this is called the manual valve. And this is the selector for the position. Okay, so I'm guessing this slide this out of the valve, and then it should just pull straight out. Okay, so it came out of this hole right here, and just to note, this swing arm, it's got the spring went around, and so this is at the top, and that's the bottom part, and it's got 3 little spherical cutouts right there. Okay, so I'll just I'll loosen all these 10mm bolts. This is probably the accumulator body. You can tell that I don't know the names for a lot of these parts, but to me I don't think it's that important. As long as I can organize this and put the parts in the exact same order that I got them out, it shouldn't matter what their names are called. Even if I don't understand how this works, I shouldn't have to. But one thing that I noticed from looking at the service manual is that they have, okay, actually that one, I don't need to take that out. They actually have the lengths for all the springs inside here, so I'll check that with the caliper, and I'll just make sure that all the springs are the original lengths. And I'll try to stretch it out by shoving coins and stuff inside the little coils. Alright, let's see if I can take this piece off. I'll just take this one off just in case. Yeah, it seemed like it went all the way through, so I guess you do gotta take this off. Yeah, this is a pretty long bolt. So they're not even on the bottom. This one's not. This one's not. Yeah, they seem like they're all random lengths.